Buddhist science is a study on Buddhism based on facts and science.
The Law of Karma by Venerable Rungruan Papartsaro, Dr. Rungruan Limchu Patapa. The world is an ecosystem of all beings living together. During the cause of living, every being does so many actions to each other and to the world. As a result, these actions as causes and effects shape the world to what it is by the law of cause and effect, and in these courses of actions, there is a mechanism to record on the information of individuality of what having done called karma. This karma or information of individuality is sort of DNA of life that will organize a formation of individual being both in the body of form and the mind of individual mental behaviors reflecting in the inner latent dispositions. The latent dispositions of each individual tendencies can be classified into 7 types, including lust for sensual pleasures, lust for becoming, repulsion, wrong view, conceit, doubt, ignorance. In Buddhism, this information of individuality is collectively inherited from the previously taken actions, karma, in many previous lives, and then being transferred to a present life in various conditions of present karma, phenomena. In Buddhism, the law of karma is a special application of the law of cause and effect to explain on how the nature systematically manages and governs to all beings who live in the world. In this case, the process and state in the law of cause and effect are modified to be karma and resulting karma, respectively. The law of karma states that whatever we have done will be a process that causes an effect on resulting karma in life. In a system of a world which consists of all beings living together, all collective actions of an individual will cause a complex chain reaction of karma in the world. And in case of life after death, a life is transitioned into a formless formation, and the information of individuality of karma still attaches to the individual spirit, which will take the results of either happiness or suffering, depending on the individual karma. The law of karma was summarized by the Buddha as follows.
As we are living in a cycle of life, being born, then growing up, then getting old, sick and die, eventually. Life will continue in this cycle of life in accord to the following cause and effect rule. When do good things, action, in life, and good things, action feedback, will happen in life. While do bad things, action, in life, and bad things, action feedback, will happen in life. Beings are owners of their actions, heirs of their actions. They originate from their actions, are bound to their actions, have their actions as their refuge. It is action that distinguishes beings as inferior and superior. Some man or woman kills, injuring, living beings and is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. Man or woman is angry and irritable character. Even when criticized a little, he is offended, become angry, hostile, and resentful, and displays anger, hate, and bitterness. Man or woman is envious. One who envies, resents, and begrudges the gains, honor, respect, reverence, salutations, and veneration received by others. Man or woman does not give food, drink, clothing, carriages, garlands, scents, unguents, beds, dwelling, and lamps to ascetics and Brahmins. Man or woman is obstinate and arrogant. Man or woman does not visit an ascetic or Brahmins and learn from his teachings. Because of performing and undertaking such action, on the breakup of the body, after death, he is reborn in a state of misery in a bad destination. But here, some man and woman, abandoning the destruction of life, abstains from the destruction of life. With rod and weapon laid aside, conscientious, merciful, he dwells compassionate to all living beings. Man or woman is not of any angry and irritable character. Even when criticized a little, he or she is not offended, does not become angry, hostile, and resentful, and does not display anger, hate, and bitterness. Man or woman is not envious. One who does not envy, resent, reverence, salutations, and veneration received by others. Man or woman gives food, drink, clothing, carriages, garlands, scents, unguents, beds, dwelling, and lamps to ascetics and Brahmins. Man or woman is not obstinate and arrogant. Man or woman does not visit an ascetic or Brahmins and learn from his teachings. Because of performing and understanding such action, on the breakup of the body, after death, he is reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world. The way that leads to short life makes people short-lived. The way that leads people to long life makes people long-lived. The way that leads to sickliness makes people sickly. The way that leads to health makes people healthy. The way that leads to ugliness makes people ugly. The way that leads to beauty makes people beautiful. The way that leads to poverty makes people poor. The way that leads to wealth makes people wealthy. The way that leads to stupidity makes people stupid. The way that leads to wisdom makes people wise. Beings are owners of their actions, heirs of their actions. They originate from their actions, are bound to their actions, have their actions as their refuge. It is action that distinguishes beings as inferior and superior.
In science, the principle of natural selection is defined as a process whereby being is better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. In Buddhism, the adaptations of beings are actions that an individual being doing in the environment. The definitions of doing good or bad to the world in this context are doing right or wrong within the world. Therefore, doing right or wrong will determine what will happen to the individual being, called the law of karma. The karma is a sort of the information of individuality in terms of collective actions that each individual has done to the world, including all actions in the past life as well. The nature will arrange and make a selection on what will happen to an individual based on the individual karma. The concept of heaven and hell as a becoming in existence of or places for life after death is well accepted in every religion. However, the essence of the law of karma in Buddhism stipulates the fact that both heaven and hell are just the condition of states of mind in the nature, what a life will be, both at present and in the future, depending on what we have done in the past as karma. Our action, no matter unwholesome or wholesome, will have a specific consequence. It is just a matter of time and condition in an environment. And the unwholesome actions lead to states of misery and bring future pains and sufferings, while the wholesome actions will bring future well-being and happiness in return. It is important to realize that in Buddhism the law of karma is not something of being superstitious or something of being let it go without doing anything. These kinds of misunderstanding are considered as ignorance or the misunderstanding of the truths of life. The law of karma implies the law of justice in nature, that is, what happening is the result of what we may have done or take actions in the past. Any action that has been taken will back as a cause and effect to life. Therefore, we should be intelligent to live at the present moment, and keep on doing the right thing. We should be a good person doing the right things, especially to improve the quality of mind by learning and practicing the Buddhism to gain wisdom of life, knowing what the truths of life are, and having mindfulness, always doing only the right actions in accord to the law of nature. In 2020 there is an interesting scientific discovery that in any biological system, there is a unique property of information of individual like DNA that particularly makes an individual unique from others. Also, this information of individuality will influence the way an individual will respond to environment. In Buddhism, life is an evolution process. All beings take actions, called karma, and in the mind processing there are a set of latent dispositions that uniquely reflect the mental behaviors of an individual. All actions that an individual taken will be embedded into the information of individuality or karma through a cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Once a person dies, then the body will be rotten and decayed to ground, while the information of individuality of karma still proceeds into formless and waiting for a renewal formation of life in an appropriate reincarnation within the cycle of life. It should be highlighted that in Buddhism, although life is no self, but there is an information of individuality as karma of individual person that causes the continuation of being alive, even in life after death, and only the noble person who achieves the nirvana, and then be able to completely eradicate all the defilements, latent dispositions, taints, and the individual conditions of karma, then there will be no more becoming in existence of or sphere of becoming for that person anymore. Conceptually, when there is self, then there needs a place of becoming in existence of for the self to live in, and when there is no self, and then the delusion of becoming a self, thinking environment, will be collapsed immediately. It is very interesting to notice that the Buddha tried to explain this abstract notion of nature scientifically. Therefore, in Buddhism there is no need to please any god or even the Buddha asking for favors or any benefits in life, because the nature will organize everything by the law of karma. It is the first time that human can be free from any obligations of any self, or gods. The law of karma warns us that life is uncertainty due to varieties of causes and effects by nature, and this is the main reason why life is so unpredictable. By understanding the law of karma, more or less we will not do any harm to the others in the world, because the karma of wrongdoings will kick back anyway. Therefore, we should be kind and empathy to others so that we can live together with others peacefully.